1 year later, but my Destiny has arrived. So, I thought I would make a video of how I feel about Destiny since I put in a decent amount of time into the game so far. So, I'm gonna talk about the positives and negatives, and then maybe I'll talk about some other stuff related to Destiny. Well, this game, a lot of people looked at it as an MMO, which I really don't look at Destiny as one. It's not like World of Warcraft or EverQuest done first-person shooter. It's more like Borderlands, a first-person shooter with action RPG elements to it. I personally feel like it gets all the basics down fairly well when it comes to being that game. The shooting feels good, not the best I've seen in a modern shooter, but it's definitely one of the stronger features for Destiny, and it feels good to get the loot. The three classes that you have in this game are also well done to make them feel different from each other, and the abilities are also reasonably well designed too, although they're really nothing to, write home about. I also love how Bungie made the grinding factor not so annoying, since you really do have a lot of options to grind your character, whether it's doing strikes, patrol missions, and raids. They all kind of feel different from each other, but at the same time, there's kind of like a flaw to it, which I will eventually talk about it once I get to the negative parts. The game has a lot of replay value when you combine the high replayability and how Bungie just simply nails down the basic FPS and action RPG elements. I can see why this game can be really addicting to some people. I think the last thing I can say positively about the game is that it has that Bungie charm to it. I personally think Borderlands is a better game, but the main reason why I prefer to play Destiny is because it just has that charm that Bungie, seems to deliver in games like Marathon or Halo. So that's definitely one of the most positive things I can say about the game. I think this is the part where most people are really interested in, so the negatives. Without a doubt, this game has a lot of criticism I can point out. It's very repetitive and it's incredibly shallow, way more shallow than Rage. Matter of fact, this game throws in a lot of different kinds of enemies, but they do kind of behave similarly. The AI is really not as dynamic when it comes to Halo, and I really feel like that I'm just, fighting the same target sometimes, even though there are some slight difference to how they behave, but overall I just feel like it feels way too similar to previous enemies that I fought in the story missions. Halo got criticism for using too much of the elites, grunts, and jackals, but the AI is what made the fights feel so different from each other as you play through the game, and there was a lot more personality into the AI for Halo than the enemies in Destiny. Just like a lot of people that described Destiny's campaign, you basically just shoot stuff, defend stuff, and keep on shooting stuff. That's pretty much Destiny in a nutshell. Even if you're done with the story missions and the game basically becomes a grind quest for better loot, you're still pretty much just doing what you've been doing in the story missions. You'll either go to a sector, keep on shooting stuff, and then you'll have the strike missions, or the public events where you'll be defending certain things, and it just feels like playing the campaign again, even though I remember Bungie said that, once you're done with the campaign for Destiny, it becomes a completely different game. I do agree some aspects of that, but at the same time, I mostly disagree. And not only that, the game just gets very boring. Yes, the strikes and patrols, they do feel a little different most of the time, but the more I play, repeatedly, I just feel like I'm really doing the same stuff. And I just don't understand how people can play Destiny for 7 hours straight and not get bored, because generally around 2 hours, that's where I just really want to stop, because I feel like my brain is just melting from the repetitive nonsense that this game has. The game is very shallow in how it has so many challenges to encourage you to replay, and it just feels cheap, and the sad thing is this is mostly its main source for replayability. It's not like in Wolfenstein: The New Order, where the game design itself, like how well the levels were made, the fun shootouts, the amount of strategies or different ways you can tackle a situation are what makes, the game replayable, and the bonus modes were interestingly diverse at the same time too. But in Destiny, it's just your typical challenges to, I guess, make you forgive the repetitive nonsense of Destiny, but I'm not letting Bungie getting a free pass for this one just because of the system, which, like I said, it does increase the replay value, but it just feels cheap and just lazily implemented. The story is absolutely horrible. It reminds me of Rage. It had potential, but where did it go? Also, Bungie recycled a lot of sectors in their strike missions from the campaign, and there are some new sectors to it, but most of them are just recycled, and it's really like, why did you guys do this? For Halo, like, Firefight recycled areas in the campaign, but it worked well for that, so it wasn't really an issue. For this game, yeah, the fights are still fun, even though they're slightly different from the story missions, but I remember Bungie said that this game is going to be like, it's going to have a huge world, and they had a lot more time working on this game compared to like, Halo 3 ODST or Reach. So what happened? Now I want to talk about how greedy Bungie is after the Taken King DLC. I actually bought Destiny 1 week before the DLC, and my god, I got screwed over. Let me tell you why. I can't buy legendary items, which are basically really good items, like, the highly valued kind if you never played Destiny. I absolutely think it's bullshit that Bungie's trying to tease me to buy the DLC. For example, I recently got my Vanguard rank upgraded, and I was rewarded with the legendary gun, and it's way better than all the guns that I have. The problem is I have to be at level 40 to use it, and level 40 is the cap if you have the DLC. If you don't, you're stuck at 34. I also finished some strike challenge, and I was rewarded with a legendary cape, and I can't use it. And you know why? You guessed it, that level 40 cap. It's unbelievably stupid that Bungie's trying to encourage people who, bought the standard edition of Destiny to buy the DLC. Why can't I enjoy the game for what it is, and why can't I have the same treatment as the people who have DLC? Like, Bungie changed the currency to encourage people to get legendary loot quicker, easier, and not be too grind driven. However, it's only for the people who have the DLC to have that luxury. So I'm literally, screwed, and I don't have a lot of ways to get really good item than, like, grind in the Vanguard strikes, which doesn't seem to be a practical idea. So I'm stuck with the raid mode, but let me tell you, I don't know how I can find 5 other friends who have similar time schedules with mine to be able to accomplish that. Now, multiplayer, I mostly don't like it, but I actually grown to like it once I got better items and started to understand the mechanics, but it's just kind of like a chaotic mess. It's just annoying when people rush at you with their super and you pretty much got like very little or no way to counter it. I personally don't like the maps too much, and I said it felt like a bad version of Call of Duty and Halo when I first saw it, and my opinion is still somewhat relevant to that statement. But like I said, I do enjoy the gunplay, so it was fun shooting players while, I was trying to get my multiplayer achievements. The radar is absolutely horrible for multiplayer. You really can't get like a clear idea of where people are at times. With that said, I wouldn't say it's as good as Call of Duty or Halo, where I definitely prefer to play those games over Destiny. So yes, you can tell that I'm pretty harsh on this game, but I actually do consider myself a Destiny fan. I'll give the game a 6 out of 10 at best, mainly because I do really feel like the fact it pretty much gets all the basics down pretty well for a first-person shooter slash action RPG combo. The high replayability and that Bungie charm really makes it enjoyable for me to play it, and I do see myself coming back to this game in the future, but I know I'm going to have to take breaks at times because of how repetitive and just super shallow it can be. I'm glad that Destiny is becoming a successful new IP for Bungie, but I'm also really concerned of what kind of, greedy thing Bungie will be doing in the future, because this game, it feels like a Bungie game at heart, but there's definitely some of that corporate control from Activision for sure.